if 2025 is going to be a good money year for you, you need to understand that it won't happen by chance. You would have to be intentional about it. You have to make decisions that will gradually improve your financial situation. I don't know your current financial situation, and everyone's situation is different. You might not be making a lot of money, or you're probably making a lot of money, but you don't have any systems that would help you keep the money. So you're always spending. Or you are working, you are saving, but you are scared to stop working because there's no source of income to fall back to if you stopped working today. No matter what your financial situation is, all you need to do today is make one simple decision, which is to decide that you are going to be intentional about managing your money and growing your wealth. What this means is that you would have to play by a new set of rules that put you in control and on the path to wealth. I'll give you a few of these rules that you can work with, maybe just 6 of them, and then you can take it up from there. The first rule is pay yourself first. You see, this is non-negotiable. I don't know if you're already doing this, but whenever you receive a paycheck, whether it's your salary, your bonus, commission, payment for work done or whatever, provided you have exchanged your sweat or some form of value for that money, and the money is yours, the first thing to do is to set aside some of the money and keep it. Isolate it. That money is for your future self. But it's not just enough to say you want to keep money, you have to systemize it. Because first of all, you can't keep deciding on how much you have to keep every time you make money. So you have to set the percentage up front and stick to it. Then you can gradually increase this percentage as you continue to make more money. A good place to start is 10%. And you can do as much as 25%, 40%, depending on how much you make and what your monthly cost of living is. Because you don't want to save and then not have money to fund your lifestyle, So whatever percentage you decide on, you have to ensure that you can still live a decent life, even when you save money. You can start with setting a small percentage of your primary income source. For instance, let's say 10% of your salary. And then when you make extra money, say bonuses or commission or something, you can set a larger percentage, say 40 to 60% of that, and so on, right? The second part of this system is to create a special account for this purpose. You want to set aside some money, but you don't want to leave it in that same account where you spend from. So this money is not within reach, right? You want to create an account where you don't have easy access to the money, because the goal is to keep it so that you can invest it, not for you to spend it when you are in a little fix. You could decide to keep it in banks that have special saving products with higher interest rates, or in financial instruments such as treasury bills, fixed deposits, or other low interest instruments. Now, this money can stay in those instruments until you have investments where you want to put it into. Another thing that is important is that you should focus on saving for the purpose of investing, not just for the sake of saving. The goal should be to use this money to grow your income and your wealth, and not to keep it sitting idle in a bank account. The truth is, when you pay yourself first, you are telling yourself and your money that your future is priority. Rule number 2, you need to get organized. You can't keep winging your personal finances. You have to treat yourself as if you are a business and your money is the business's money. Think about it. Companies don't just wing it with their money. If they do, they won't survive long enough. So they have budgets. They have, they track every penny. They allocate funds for specific purposes, and you have to do the same. A good place to start is to start appropriating your income in this new year. This means that all your income should be broken down into categories even before you receive it. And then you should keep them in different buckets. When I say buckets, I mean different accounts. So let's say, for instance, you receive a 1 million naira monthly salary. This is how your appropriation should look like. 20% for saving, or we can call it 20% for save to invest, 40% for your living expenses, 10% for your cash reserves or emergency funds, whatever you want to call it, then 20% for fun, entertainment, your wants, debt payments, or miscellaneous. Or you could even split that last 20% into to 10% for your tithes, charity, donations, and 10% for those other things that I mentioned. Now that you have done this, the only way to track this properly and ensure you don't mix up the money is to have special accounts for different purposes. And that's why I said different buckets for different purposes. First of all, have a checking account where you receive your money, or maybe different checking accounts for different types of income, right? Then create new accounts for these other different purposes. So one account where you keep money that you want to invest, one account for your emergency, funds or cash reserves, one account for your phone, whatever, or you could mix it up with your living expenses. But you should basically have an account for expenses, an account where you keep money that you want to save for investment, and then something else for your, cash reserves and all that, your emergency fund. Now, before you even start spending a dime, once your money gets into your checking account, the first thing you should do is appropriate it, right? So it means that you will have money in your expense account, which you are going to be spending every day. Do you understand? But when money comes into your checking account, you don't spend that money, you appropriate it. And you probably set aside one day for you to appropriate it. Now, you will find out that when you appropriate your income, you will find out that you can't just spend money anyhow. You can't just spend money aimlessly, because you will realize that you don't have enough money to spend, because all the money you have to spend is in one account and you'll see it. So you are now eager, you are now driven to make more money. You are driven to increase your income. And that brings us to the next rule. So my third rule is increase your income. You see, there's a limit to how you can cut your expenses. At some point, if you keep cutting your expenses, you will start living like a pauper. You see, but there's no limit to your earning potential. It is basically limitless, right? If you want to manage your money better without changing your lifestyle, you need to focus on making more money, because when you start appropriating, you will see that you don't have as much money to spend. And there are different ways you can make more money. You can decide to become more valuable at work, maybe improve your skills, take on new responsibilities, and when you do this and demonstrate this, it then puts you in a position to ask for a raise, right? Or you learn a new skill and sell that skill. Now, the thing with skills is that the more skills you have, the more opportunities you can create for yourself. But it's not just about learning a skill. You need to sell that skill, either as a freelancer, a consultant, a tutor, or even with getting a new role at work. Just make sure that this new skill is able to bring in additional income, right? Another way to make more money is to sell something. Sell something, anything. Sales brings in, money. You could decide to start a small business if you can, or you can decide to become an affiliate for companies and their products, sell their products, right? You could decide to do maybe mini importation, import items, and sell them here in Nigeria or wherever you are. The goal is sell something so you make more money. You can even decide to sell real estate. Send us a message, symbolic, come and sell our products and you make more money, right? Another way is to invest in income-producing assets. Let's say you have money and you probably don't have the time to, sell something to add more income and all that, or do some other side hustle. You can invest in income-producing assets. Now, an income-producing asset is not just an asset. It's an asset that has been designed to produce income, to give you cash flow. For instance, if you own apartments where you can collect rent, it's an income-producing asset. Or if you own 1 hectare of land at Palm City, it's an income-producing asset, because it will generate recurring income for you over time, and all you have to do was just invest in it once. And that is another way, to make more money. The goal is to increase your income by setting up extra sources of income, but you have to be smart about it, so that you don't affect your primary source of income negatively while trying to create a secondary source. If not, you could lose both sources of income and you get frustrated while at it, and then you say that this thing doesn't work, right? So use your head. Don't kill your primary source of income while trying to create the secondary source. Let both of them exist. Now, my fourth rule is simple. Play the long game, right? Play the long game. You need to understand that wealth is not built overnight. It's a result of consistent effort, smart decisions, and patience. Someone said money loves speed, wealth loves time, which is patience, and poverty loves indecision. And I agree. You need to shift your focus from just making money, which you should, to building wealth over time. You need to be consistent, you need to be patient, you need to be disciplined. And first, you need to understand the different types of money and which of them you have been able to create. First of all, we have active income, which is the kind of income where you exchange your sweat, your energy, your effort for money. So your job, your side hustle, your business where you have to show up are all sources of active income. You see, with this type of income, if you don't show up, the money dries up. This is active income, and this is where most people are. And the sad thing is that some people never leave this place. They never realize that they should leave this place or move from here until it's too late. But this is also where you will make the money you will use to create wealth. So it's an important type of money, but you need to understand that there is more, and you need to move and create more types of money. So the next type of money is passive income. And this is where you should be moving to. You should be moving from active income to passive income. Because here you depend on systems. You depend on people, other people, to make money. You don't have to show up. For instance, I've talked about Palm City before, but if you own 1 hectare of land at Palm City, you have set up a passive income source because people are working for you, systems are working for you, and your money is working for you. You don't have to lift a finger. You just sit down and receive income every year when your plantation is harvested and the produce are processed into palm oil and its derivatives and sold, all on your behalf. That's passive income. Or maybe you own 1 unit of a 2-bedroom apartment at Autograph Lagos, and then you give it to Symbolic's property management team to manage for you. So your own is to sit down and collect rents every year. That's passive income. All you have to do is invest in it and let people and systems do the work. You could even own a business that you've built to a point where it doesn't need you anymore, and you can just monitor it, maybe from a dashboard, but you don't have to be involved in the day-to-day operations. You don't have to be involved in the day-to-day activities. That is a source of passive income. No sweat, no energy, just people and systems. And that brings me to the third type of money. And this is where true wealth really lives. This is what we call portfolio income. With this, you have to build an investment portfolio or a number of investment portfolios over time, right? Now, when you get to this point, you probably own 5 hectares of land at Palm City that gives you money every year. You own a number of apartments that pay you rent. You have some money locked in different financial instruments, like maybe money market funds, you have treasury bills, you have equities, you have stocks, you have other assets that grow in value, right? That's a portfolio. At this point, it's not about how much you can make with your time. It's not about trading your time. It's not also about how much one source of passive income can give you. It's about having a system managed by a team or different teams where you are guaranteed never to go below a certain standard of living anymore. And this is where true wealth resides. At this point, you have different streams of income running into each other. And with this, you can almost never be broke. But you need to remember one thing, that while building long-term, you have to think in terms of cash flow. It's not about, I want to quickly just put this money here so that I can expedite, my wealth creation. You need to also live in the moment, right? You don't want to live like a pauper while trying to build wealth, because the goal is to create a life where your money works for you. And you have to be alive and well to see it happen, right? And that brings me to the 5th rule, right? And this is simple. You need to focus more on income-producing assets and less on liabilities. Trust me, I know that the work you need to put in to get wealthy is not a day's work. And it takes consistency, it takes discipline, and most importantly, it takes the ability to delay gratification for you to get there. It could be boring because you might not be able to get the flashy things you want at the time you want them. Instead, you'll have to plan for them or even forego them altogether. But that's how intentional you have to be. You see, to grow wealth, you will need to spend more money on assets that can grow in value and less money on liabilities. more money on assets that can grow in value and produce income for you, things that put money back into your pocket, and less money on liabilities. So let's say you have an iPhone 12 that works perfectly, and Apple just releases the iPhone 16. You shouldn't be planning to upgrade to an iPhone 16 because everyone is planning to upgrade to an iPhone 16, unless you can afford it after you have appropriated your income, right? So I'm not saying you should not buy liabilities, because I mean they add color to our lives. I mean, who doesn't want an iPhone 16, right? Who doesn't want to drive a Ferrari, right? But what I'm saying is that make sure you can afford them. You see, every financial decision you make should answer one question, and that question is this building my wealth or is it taken from it? You see, it is not enough to grow your money, right? You also need to protect it, because life is unpredictable. And having a financial defense plan is important. So rule number 6 is build a defense. And I'll break this down into 2. Number 1, get insurance. Insurance is important. It could be health insurance, life insurance, property insurance, car insurance, whatever insurance, something that protects you from unforeseen circumstances. You don't want these unforeseen circumstances to erode all of your wealth or part of your wealth. So yes, you have to protect it. You have to protect your wealth, right? The second thing is build an emergency fund, something you can depend on if something happens to your active source of income. Let's say you lose a source of income now. What are you going to fall back to before you get back on your feet? Are you going to go and liquidate your investment account because you need to survive? No. That's where your emergency fund comes in. Or when something that you do not plan come up and you have to spend money, right? This is where your emergency fund comes in. So the whole goal of an emergency fund is to help you, fund your lifestyle when something happens to your active source of income, or when you have to spend, more money than you plan to spend. So instead of liquidating your investment account and starting from scratch, or reducing the rate at which you build your wealth, you first go to your emergency account, right? And hopefully that saves you. My last rule is simple. It's rule number 7. Take action now. Immediately. You see, the biggest difference between people who succeed financially and those who don't is action. So it's not enough to watch this video. You need to start implementing these steps today. All you have to do is pick one action, just one, right? And commit to it. And as you go, you can set small, achievable goals and build momentum as you go. Because the sooner you start, the faster you will see results, and then you start enjoying it. Remember, money loves speed, wealth loves time, poverty loves indecision, and you need to start today. So to help you take action, what I've done is I've created a workbook. It has a checklist of things that you should do and a way to track what you've done. I will also throw in a sample of an appropriation sheet you can use to organize your money better. It is my hope, it is my intention that this will help you manage your money better and start growing wealth in 2025. I want you to know that I'm rooting for you. And at this point, I'll say happy holidays, and I'll see you on the next video.